Hello and welcome into the local Gridiron on Roco Radio. I'm Joe Dexter. Glad to have you along as we've got David Woods, Jonathan Hatley, and Jay Ramey to recap week number 1. Let's start with David. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, buddy. I just got to wish my man Mac Brown a happy birthday, the GOAT of Chapel Hill.
Don't roll your eyes too much there, Jay.
You think he's the best coach in the history of Chapel Hill? Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, football-wise.
Okay.
I mean, you take it to basketball, then we talk to the other GOAT, Roy Williams. Or Dean Smith, Bill Guthrie.
Dean.
And we keep going. But Dean Smith, yeah, you're right, Jonathan. It's got to be Dean Smith.
It's not Butch Davis, David?
Really? I don't think he has any wins left with all the vacations.
Well, we're not here to talk college football. We've got week 1 review of the high school football season here in our area, as well as a preview of week 2. We'll start with Reedsville and Western Alamance. David, your first overall thoughts on the game, the performance from the Rams?
Well, I mean, like I said before, the beat goes on. I mean, a lot of misdirection. I mean, that offense was absolutely legitimate. It was fun to watch. You had Deontay Neal starting at quarterback. I mean, I think Eric Teague is just – he's drooling right now. I mean, he has a plethora of just so many weapons, and you don't know who's going to be starting at quarterback from each drive to drive. I mean, it's going to be Janai Sharp. It's going to be Deontay. You got your freshman in Johnson. You don't know. They're going to run Wildcat. They're going to run a lot of misdirection, a lot of jet sweeps. And then you talk about the Doug Marr defense, just a shutdown defense all night long against Western Alamance, man. I mean, it was just a well-coached team, fundamentally sound. I mean, what do you expect out of Reedsville?
Doug Marr's defense did give up 130 rushing yards, but just 3.7 per carry. And in the passing game, just 47 yards passing for the Warriors in week number 1. How about the passing game, though, David, for Reedsville? 15 of 20 for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. They did have that 1 interception, but when you look at what they did efficiency-wise passing the football, you didn't know where it was coming from, but one thing that we do know, they were efficient with the football.
Yeah, they were very efficient. I mean, like you said, just that 1 turnover. I mean, Deontay Neal, he's a facilitator. He's a point guard of the offense. I mean, he's a very smart, like I said, fundamentally sound football player. And, even when he was rolling out, if he didn't see anybody, he was going to get what he had and go out of bounds. There's no way he was going to get hit. I mean, that is just smart football right there. I mean, he knows the game. I mean, it's just flat out he knows the game. He is a very smart kid, a very smart football player, and he knew to take care of the football.
Week 1 was the Deontay Neal show, 12 for 14, 88 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Then he ran the football for 81 yards on 6 carries and had 13.5 average. Oh, by the way, he tied the career mark for interceptions with his first of the year in the first half, getting 16 in his career, tying Adrian Adams, who is going into the Hall of Fame for the Reedsville Hall of Fame this year. So Deontay Neal does it all, doesn't he? I mean, we all have seen it in some shape or form or aspect, but Deontay Neal is a special player.
You can't forget about the kick returns, too.
Oh, yeah, the punt return.
He could take it to the house at any point in time. I mean, he's just a – you don't ever know where that kid's going to be at. Offense, defense, you name it, he's going to be there.
Well, we'll shift gears. We'll take a look at Rockingham and McMichael. Jay, share us your overall thoughts on the game, being able to call the play-by-play there, and what you saw from Rockingham County.
Incredible game. I think both teams put it all on the field. McMichael ultimately just ran out of gas. They're likely going to be upset with the amount of turnovers they had. I think on both sides. The first quarter, there was like 3 fumbles and a safety in the first quarter between the two teams. So they're definitely going to worry about not making those same mistakes. But overall, they looked like they put as much toughness into the game as they could. And from the interviews I was hearing from Coach Robertson, Coach Hatley, that's all they wanted from their guys. Ultimately, second half, I think McMichael just ran completely out of gas. But both teams should be proud of themselves. Ultimately, Rockingham won, fought off the upset, winning 22-12. But both teams can pat themselves on the back.
Jonathan, what was your overall thoughts on the performance from Rockingham County, specifically the rushing game and how they used the pass to balance that rushing attack?
Rockingham did what they needed to do. They weren't overly impressive, but they got the job done. Good game on the ground, and they hit the passes that they needed to. And their defense stayed solid. Only giving up 12 points to that option. Impressive special teams performance. No real kicking game, but they kept the mistakes to a minimum. They kept the turnovers to a minimum, and they just outplayed and outsmarted McMichael.
I'd like
Jay-
to mention that those fumbles weren't really the quarterback's fault in all of those situations. So, two of them for McMichael were the center just throwing it like above his head, and then Rockingham, they drove it downfield and got deep into McMichael territory. They were inside the 1, inches away from a touchdown, goal line stand. Amazing job by McMichael, and then they finally punched it out, but that was a running back. And then McMichael got safetied because they were starting their drive inside the 1. But the quarterback play, Luke Stripmatter, if he's limited throwing the ball, he didn't throw the ball. So it's not like he was going out there pretending to be Patrick Mahomes and creating turnovers that way. And Kai Tart as well, he threw a beautiful pass to an open man on a fly route and got a long touchdown pass. So I don't think there were any interceptions except for one at the end of the half that was just like an air it out to the end zone that didn't really matter. So both of these quarterbacks, there were questions coming into the game, but I don't think they performed poorly.
Now with Jay, with Rockingham's offense, what did they run? Did they stick to the shotgun and run a little pistol, or what did they do?
I think so. Yeah, it was mostly spread. They kept about the same thing. I feel like every time, and Hatley's more of an X's and O's guy than I am, but it seemed like they had a lot of 3 receiver sets with maybe a running back in the backfield blocking or something like that.
Okay.
How much was
Hatley,
that
what did you
week
see?
1? Go ahead,
Did you
Hatley.
hear me?
What did you see? What did you see overall from McMichael? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if he can hear us.
Jonathan, you there? I think he's having a little technical difficulties.
Jay, what did you see from McMichael? What did you think of Kai Tart's first start?
I actually was very encouraged because there wasn't a lot of fanfare around him. He's only a sophomore, so he's going to have to develop over the next couple of years. But Coach Hatley said that he's here to stay. So, or Coach Tapley. I said Coach Hatley. Coach Tapley is here to stay. So I think if they develop with each other over the next couple of years, Kai Tart could be a very good integral part of the McMichael offense. But from the first game, I mean, there weren't any really sloppy mistakes made by the quarterback, and that's what McMichael preached. They didn't want he said sometimes that teams are going to have talent, sometimes they're not, but he wants them to control what they can control, and I think Kai Tart's going to be the right man to do that.
And you got to have a quarterback with ice in his veins, especially when it comes to the veer and the triple option. I mean, you got to know when to pitch that ball. You got to know when to keep the ball. So it's not a simple offense. It's something that you really have to work with.
Not at all. When there were broken plays, Kai Tart was able to make something out of it. I think he showed a very high quarterback IQ, which is what you want.
That's it, yeah.
I wonder if Jonathan can hear us now.
I was getting some Wi-Fi interference.
Ah, gotcha. Your thoughts on McMichael's first game in that veer option set and what you saw from them?
No major mistakes. They distributed the ball around well. Tart is good with his legs. He's good on the pitch. Vasquez is a bruising back. Dalton, good speed back. Once they get their blocking schemes down and they have gotten into the swing of that offense, I think it's going to be potent.
That's good.
So let's take a look at what's coming up. We'll start with Thursday football, David. It's rivalry football, Rockingham and Moorhead. This game has been contested in a very good game the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a mix between Rockingham taking the win one year, Moorhead coming back and winning one year. I mean, it's just been back and forth all year long, and that's what you expect out of a good rivalry game. I think it's going to be a smash mouth football game. I really do. I think I really want to see a lot more out of Moorhead's offense. I think once they get that offense down and once they get rolling with the run game, I really think that's going to help out the defense. I think what's hurting them right now is they're not moving the ball the way effectively that they need to, and I think it's putting the defense back on there as quick on the field, and then, they're tiring out real quick. They didn't give up but 18 points, which is good. But I think with the wing T, you need to stay on the field as long as possible, especially chewing the clock up.
One thing that stood out to me when you look defensively for Moorhead, we don't have any offensive stats, but they held Cummings to just 6 yards passing on 2 of 14.
Yeah.
That's still holding them to a 14% completion percentage.
Yeah.
But running the ball, they did give it up a little bit more, 8.5 yards per carry and 282 rushing yards. So that might play a factor in Thursday's matchup. For Rockingham County, though, David, I imagine it's much of more of the same. Continue to build on what you did in week 1.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's going to help having Malik Bryant's brother, which I did not know. That's the first I've heard of him. But yeah, having him, his big brother, teaching him some things about the offense. I mean, they don't run especially the same thing that Coach run last year as far as an orbit, but they do have some kind of the same styles, like the screen passes and stuff like that, and out of the same shotgun formations. I mean, I'm not sure. Did they run any of the pistol formation? I'm not sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, did they run in any of the pistol formation in Rockingham? Yeah, you can't hear me.
I have a question, and this kind of goes to your point, but how many times did you say Cummings passed the ball?
They passed it 14 times.
Yeah.
And they had how many completions? Two?
Two, yeah.
Okay. So how many times did they run the ball? Is Moorhead's run defense good?
They ran it 33 times. Cummings did for 282 yards, and they gave up 8.5 per carry.
So I think
Rockingham was running the ball a lot more than throwing it, which I was shocked by because I expected a lot of screen passes, things like that.
Yeah.
But it seemed like there was a lot of, misdirection. Weren't very many aired out passes, and I don't know how much they trusted Luke Stripmatter, but I thought, he knew when to run it, when to hold on to it, and he also provides another threat with his ability to run.
Okay.
So he had a nice pass for a 2-point conversion on a fake, but I think that Rockingham will run it more, and Moorhead is going to have to rely less on that pass defense.
And I think that's what Coach Baker did too, especially with Mr. Tim Tebow himself. He ran a lot of counter out of the pistol, and he would actually, it would be like the Wildcat as far as what Rice Baker done. He would run a lot of counter, and then boom, he's just following that line and getting in the hole. Jonathan, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so did they run any kind of pistol formations that you saw, or was it just straight shotgun?
It was pretty straight shotgun, 2 back and 1 back variations.
Okay.
Not much tight end, some 4 wide, some 3 wide.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a little bit different than what Coach Brad Baker ran.
To Jay's point, Rockingham ran the ball 39 times versus throwing the ball just 6 times. So, 133 yards rushing the ball, averaging 3.5 per carry. So I imagine the breakdown of that game that we'll be covering on Thursday will be the rushing attack of both teams and which one can get the advantage.
Absolutely.
And it was interesting that Moorhead's only touchdown was a pass touchdown when they were relying more on their run. I was talking to their quarterback, and he said that they were and it was a beautiful pass, too.
Yes, it was.
Perfectly placed, I think. But he said that they're running a lot of double wing, going to be handing the ball off a ton.
See, that's what they do. What they'll do is they'll run that wing set and they'll just lull you to sleep. And just when you think you're not paying attention, they'll play action it, and then there it goes. There's that fake.
That's one of the things McMichael did when Cod Tart made that beautiful pass.
Yeah.
Right into the breadbasket. It seemed like every play they were just running it, and I think Hatley used that exact terminology on the broadcast. He just lulled them to sleep for that nice pass.
Yeah, I'll tell you a coach that you need to look up, Jay. Paul Johnson. Remember that name?
Sir.
Paul Johnson.
From Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Georgia Tech.
Absolutely.
And Navy.
Hey, yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Georgia Southern.
Right. So, Jonathan and Jay, you've got Reidsville and Page this week. We'll start with you, Jay. Your impressions, first overall thoughts heading into that game.
Well, there's not a ton of information about the Page's game last week online right now. But if it's anything like last year, it'll be super entertaining. Last year, Reidsville's only loss in the regular season from like 2019 to 2022 came against Page. So they wanted revenge, and the Pirates gave them a lot more trouble than I thought they would. One of the last plays of the third quarter, it was a fumble return by Page to bring it to a one-possession game, and Reidsville finally created some distance. But, winning by 25 last week, Reidsville, that is, was very impressive considering last year it took them till September 15th to get a win that was more than 2 touchdowns. So I think that not only does Reidsville want to win, they want to win big against Page. It's pretty much the same situation as last year. I know Kalen Hand's the new coach for Page, but Page coming off a bad loss against Dudley where they only scored 1 touchdown. Same exact story as last year. So as long as Reidsville stays on their toes, I think that they can pull it off.
Any initial thoughts, Jonathan, when you look at the matchup?
I think that with the troubles that Page had against Dudley, and where Dudley is a speed team, always a speed team. Dudley is always fast. Reidsville could give them matchup problems because Reidsville's fast. That's their biggest killer, speed. It always is. Page, going into a 4A school, hostile environment, I've never had to play at Page, thank goodness. But I've seen footage of some of those Page Grimsley games, and they get nasty.
Oh, yeah, they do.
It being an away
big
game
crowd
is a good point. That's a good point by you that it's an away game because I believe last year's game was at Reidsville. So, I mean, who knows if they can – there's a young team go into a hostile environment at Page. I know they were away last week, but who knows if they can do it again and pick up the win. What did you guys see on Reidsville? More specifically, do you think, Joe and David, that Reidsville will pull off a victory from what you saw last week?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think so. I think the speed is really going to hurt Page. A lot of misdirection is really going to hurt Page. I mean, you don't know because, I mean, you're going to see receivers moving around constantly. It kind of reminded me, Jonathan Hatley, and I think you watched this game, it really reminded me of the Georgia Tech offense. I mean, they were constantly moving. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of Page's defense. They're going to have to really have a lot of eye vision. They're going to have great vision to see, who's going where and to really pay attention to the football.
Yeah, because not only do you have normal formation shifts, normal motions, you have 2 different quarterbacks that can come in at any time. Oh, by the way, a third quarterback might make an appearance for a throw or 2 as well. So as long as the play from Reidsville is disciplined like it was in week 1, it'll be hard to stop anywhere they go this year. I mean, it'll just be something that you have to extra game plan for. There's not one thing to game plan for. Oh, if you want a game plan for the passing game, good luck. There's Jariel Cobb in the backfield. Yeah. If you want to shut down the run game, good luck. Deontay Neal's going to run around the edge and do crazy things and throw the ball for a touchdown. Yeah. Oh, you're going to shut down Deontay Neal? Oh, here comes Janiah Sharp and Cam Jones, 2 guys that are D1 athletes. So,
and speaking of that, Janiah Sharp came in for Ali on a 2-point conversion in last year's Page game and scored one of those. So they're already familiar with him, but they thought of Deontay Neal in other positions besides that, and he didn't even play last year until near the end.
It's a tactical nightmare.
It is. It's if I'm a coach right now trying to prepare for this for Reidsville, I'm staying up 24 hours every single night, lots of coffee, lots of energy drinks, and I'm hoping like crazy that
They must be happy that they don't have to game plan for Kendra Harrison too. I mean,
That's
Oh,
true.
that would be an even bigger
True.
nightmare.
That's true. I think Eric Teague, man, I think he's really going to have a lot of fun with this offense this year. I think this is one of, I mean, even though last year offense was great, but I think this is going to be even more fun because he gets to throw his coaching in there. He gets to, a lot. Did we see a lot of misdirection last year out of Reidsville? It was just straight power game for the most part.
Straight power.
Yeah.
Some counters, but not
Yeah. Not a
all the
lot
time.
like
Yeah,
this year.
The run game was pretty straight ahead last year, and
Yeah.
the passing game was all over the place.
Yeah.
So it shall be fun to see what they do in week number 2. You can catch the coverage 7:30 p.m. is the kickoff. 7 o'clock with our Reidsville Chamber of Commerce pregame show with the guy, Jay Ramey, down there. And the guy down there, Jonathan Hatley. They'll have the call on Roco Radio. You can catch all the action. We'll have it live on Roco Radio. We'll also have it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Radio Rockingham. A Thursday affair for yours truly and the guy over there in that box wishing Mac Brown a happy B-Day.
I don't see him.
It's Reidsville, or it's Rockingham County and Moorhead, and on Max Preps, the kickoff is set for 7 p.m. If that's the case, our pregame show will be at 6:30 p.m. We'll have all that information, where you can find the live streams on our Facebook page. Make sure you follow there, facebook.com/Radio Rockingham. Also, I wanted to mention too, if you're looking for the game afterwards, you want to listen to it on your phone, you want to put it on your favorite podcast device, you can. We are podcasting every single game this year, so on Spotify, just search for Roco Radio, or on iTunes for Roco Radio under podcasts, and you can find all of our Roco Radio interviews, the local Gridiron, as well as our in-game coverage that we'll put up there later in the week. And you can also find replays of every single game on Roco Radio during the weekend by heading to rocoradio.com. For David Woods, Jonathan Hatley, and Jay Ramey, I'm Joe Dexter. This is a local Gridiron. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you at the football field.
See you guys.
See you, fellas.